and thanks for staying with us. Customs seized goods worth billions of naira from smugglers operating along the nation's borderline. Also on customs reports, semi-command inbound fake drugs being exported into the country. Plus, more report. I am Egiseme Itinye. Stay tuned. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service has told members of the Committee on Customs that the service will continue to implement President Tinubu's agenda.
Security is a very important element of national security, and there is a strong realization of this when we see the policy thrust of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has clearly identified this agenda as one of the critical pillars driving the Renewed Hope program. And this also underscores the attention which this Honorable House has given this important subject. We are in a food security situation. Many Nigerians do not have enough to eat. Definitely.
Silence, please.
So many of them lack the physical access. Good number of them lack the economic access to food, not to talk of whether they are eating the right kind of food at the right period. So we are in, therefore, this situation that calls for our concerted action. And as a responsible organization of government, we are currently in the middle of a number of operations. We are carrying out a number of exercises, measures, in response to this emergency. I therefore appreciate this opportunity given to me to rub mind with you on some of those things that we are doing with the aim of taking some lessons. First, food security sits very, very solidly within the framework of the mandates of Nigeria Customs Service. There are three principal mandates: revenue generation, which we can use to fund government's programs, smuggling to prevent illicit smuggling of goods, including food items, and of course trade, which encompasses trade, cross-border trade in food items across Nigeria's border. So through a mixture of fiscal policies, special operations, and processes, we have put in place a framework that helps Nigeria Customs Service to help drive the agenda of food security in Nigeria. Let's talk about the framework of fiscal policy. I am happy that the Honorable Minister of Agri that spoke before me talked about a number of measures which the ministry is taking, particularly in the provisions of inputs for crops and livestock. Most of these inputs are imported into the country. We have inbuilt into our tariff structure a defensive mechanism that grants very low rate of duty to most of these imported inputs. And if I have the time to just give some examples, fertilizers, which has been spoken about several times, we don't have local self-sufficiency. Fertilizer currently is zero rated. Nobody pays any duty on fertilizer. It's also exempted from VAT. We also have some machineries like tractors, harvesters, implements, and machineries for our feed mills. They are also zero rated. A few of them are on 5% rate of duty, but all of them have 0% VAT. We are happy to work with the National Assembly if even the 5% rate of duty would be reviewed further downwards to ensure that this will also be 0% rate of duty. We also have inputs like herbicides, insecticides, which are also imported at 5% rate of duty, but without VAT. We also have grains, seedlings, which the Honorable Minister also spoke about. A good number of them are done locally, but we have also seen from our system that a good number of these are also imported, and when they come in, they are subjected to 5% duty. We have seen so many state governments and many operators that are operating greenhouses, and when they bring them for agricultural development, they are zero rated presently. Now, in terms of enforcement, there are also fiscal policies that helps to ensure that foods that are imported, that are produced in Nigeria, are not illegally exported out of the country. We are currently in an operations all over Nigeria, which has resulted in the seizure of over 120 trucks across different border stations and border areas in the country. So, because we are in a state of emergency, we have received the directive to implement some kind of restrictions on the exports of critical food items, particularly grains. And this is what we have been implementing in the last 1 month to ensure that we have local self-sufficiency.
The Customs Management has continued to wage war against smugglers along the nation's borderline.
Under the framework, under the auspices of the Office of the National Security Advisor, Nigeria Customs Service is also been tasked to discuss with our stakeholders, particularly those who engage in large-scale off-taking of grains that are locally produced. So we are talking of our flour mills, breweries, and other companies that have been responsible for buying these stocks off our local markets. We've had discussions with them. Some of these things are also imported. And the discussions that we've had with them have resulted into their decision to stop off-taking these materials from the local farmers so that we can have these items diverted into the local markets. The intention of this is to crash the prices of this in the local market and reduce the pressure on our local currency. And as a fallout of that, I can also inform this Honorable House that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made some executive decisions regarding what we should do with food items that are seized. Before, food items that are seized are usually auctioned out, disposed by public auction, or we send them to orphanages and IDPs. But for goods that are imported, illegally imported and are seized, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed that we should dispose of this item through direct sales to vulnerable Nigerians. We have kicked off this exercise in some parts of the country, and we believe that very soon we will get to other parts, taking our experience from the lessons that we have learned from the places where we have done it. And in terms of the food that are destined for exports that were arrested at the border stations, the President has directed that instead of seizing those items, we should find a way of getting those items back into the local markets so that it will also have some kind of, exert some kind of pressure on the price to help to drive down their prices. We will be starting that off in the next few days, and we are going to be doing that in the areas where the seizures are made. Now, we've had a number of suggestions about having quick fix for staple items, that possibly we should import some of these items. Well, as you know, these are critical fiscal policy decisions, but if we fall back to the kind of experience that we have about 10 years ago when we were in this kind of situation, when the kind of national self-sufficiency gap was determined, and the decision was made that we should import to bridge that gap. Our experience in the custom was that the implementation was not effective because beneficiaries of these waivers imported more than the quota, in excess of the quota they were given, and they did not pay the relevant tax on the excess that was given. This is why Mr. President has emphasized all along that the viable option for us and that we should pursue with determination is to achieve local self-sufficiency in the production of critical food items. And this is what we are determined to do, and we will be working with Mr. President and all the other agencies of government to ensure that we do not apply a quick fix solution to something that requires a long-term approach. And as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I want to seek the understanding of members of the border communities, particularly in the places where we are currently implementing the closure of the border, to have understanding and exercise collective faith in Project Nigeria.
The Wildlife Unit of Nigerian Customs Service has continued to wage war against smugglers exporting wildlife products outside the country. Nigerian Customs Service will make sure that anybody caught will be made to face the law. The United States of America, with partners against wildlife killing, including Customs, has continued to preach against exporting wildlife products outside the country. The Customs College Commandant said that illegal wildlife trade and trafficking is against the law.
Been able to do, in my assessment, it's an excellent outing, and there is much for Nigerian Customs Service, particularly the Wildlife Unit, to achieve from these international partners. They are bringing in their expertise, they are bringing in their technocrats, the level of knowledge for us to tap from. So above all, it's going to be an added value, particularly as it relates to Comptroller General of Customs clarion call on capacity building. Particularly recently, he made much emphasis on collaboration. Nigerian Customs Service cannot attain its set objective without collaborating with relevant organizations, and that is what we are experiencing at the moment. Nigerian Customs Service, it's very clear on its position. These criminal elements, is high time. You can see every day Nigerian Customs officers and men, particularly the special officers that have been training in this aspect, they've been making a lot of arrests and a lot of prosecution. It's ongoing. Investigations also are ongoing. So my message to them is that they should desist from these illegal activities. There's no room for them. The Comptroller General of Customs so much believe in capacity building. We would like them to come in with, now everything's centered around technology. We will need them to bring in their capability and competency in the use of technology in the fight against these illegal activities, particularly our officers and men. There's need for them to be trained in the usage of drones and other tech apparatus, particularly at the borders, at the seaports, at the airport, and even within the system.
While the officer in charge of Wildlife Unit, Nigerian Customs Service, commended the collaborators of the agency, saying that the present government will continue to promote good trade in the country.
It means that the future is better than where we're coming from, because if we are able to evolve with at the speed with which the world is going globally, then it means that we would be able to catch up with any perpetrator in whatever form they come. That's what it means for us. It means that we are getting better. It means we are improving as the world is improving. That's what it means. And it means success for the future. Meaning we're going to improve on the trainings we've been having. Before now, we've only trained maybe a fraction. We now want to go into training the whole of Nigeria Customs Service. And I know that is possible with the kind of support that we have gotten now. We are partnering with, in addition to the partnership that we have with the likes of Wildlife Justice Commission, we are partnering now with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. We had a meeting last month where they pledged their support, and here they have come and assess the environment, to see what we have, the facilities we have, for them to be able to know what and where to step in terms of capacity building. So the capacity building now is now going to go far and wide. We want to train practically all the men and officers of Nigeria Customs Service. This is what this exercise is to come and establish. A needs assessment, and then the next is to begin the training for all officers on understanding what it takes to combat illegal wildlife trade and trafficking. In the next couple of months, 1 or 2, we should start. We already have the facility, we have the rooms, we have trainers, we have experts like myself on ground. We just need 1 or 2 things like the commandant had mentioned. We need power to be able to power the classrooms. We need smart screens, which they have promised they're going to give. And then we need other resources to support what we have on ground. Nigeria Customs Service has facility already, which just needs a bit of, bringing up to standard, and that's what they want to do. So in the next 1 or 2 months, you should see us rolling out our training.
I think, is the global importance of countering wildlife, not only ahead of National Wildlife Trafficking Day tomorrow, but also that this is not just a Nigeria issue. It's also a regional and it's also a global issue in terms of how the trafficking of wildlife products can also lead to insecurity, and also can lead to the stripping of economic resources and natural resources in Nigeria.
She warned will-be smugglers to desist from smuggling wildlife animals outside the country. You are watching the program Customs Report. Cannabis worth millions of naira has been seized by men of the Nigerian Customs Service operating in the western zone of the country. The Customs Area Controller in charge of Western Marine has this to say on the seizure made by his men. The Customs Area Controller in charge of Western Marine Command has officially handed over 6 cannabis worth 704 million naira to NDLA. He said that the effect of drugs on Nigerian youth is not good. He said that Customs will continue to wage war against importation of drugs into the country. Handed over the drugs to the LA officer in Lagos, he commended the service for their support.
Students are the leaders of tomorrow. And I will quote, if the leaders of tomorrow are destroyed, if this current generation, the leadership we're having today are no more, who is going to take us to the promised land? If we don't guide the youth as we are today, who are we hand over the future to? Fighting against this illicit drug is a collective responsibility. Not only Customs or NDLA, including the press. We need to inform them that this is dangerous. It's taking you to nowhere. And I'm advising the traders that are involved in this thing. Yes, I know it's profitable. But have you considered the consequence on the economy of Nigeria? Have you considered the well-being, the health standard of Nigerian youth? I'm advising them to desist from it. There are other alternatives for making a living. The society is open. The sky is wide. The business channels are so wide. Go and learn a trade. The society, the government has opened so many opportunities for you to go and learn trade. Why don't we? Why don't they go and learn this? But I warn, as they don't desist from them, from this illicit trouble, we are waiting for them. The next, it will not be very palatable for them.
They are one among the sister security agencies in the marine law enforcement agencies to have distinguished themselves. So it's one among many.
While the controller urged Nigerian youths to stay away from drugs.
The seizure is also a product of our command's wide network of intelligence with suspect of this trade still at large. But the command will now work with NDLA to effect the arrest of these wicked traders. The 122 bags that were about handing over to NDLA today were seized in 3 different operations at Jegemo Island, opposite Iwori Ajide waterfront, and Asipa Beach along Seme border on 29th of November last year and 19th of January 2024. In conclusion, the Western Marine Command of Nigerian Customs Service remains steadfast in its commitment to safeguard the national and economic interest by working with sister agencies whenever necessary. And I call on Nigerians to desist from illicit, illegal cross-border trade practice, as it is bad for the general economic and health well-being of Nigeria and the Nigerians.
According to him, drugs is a bad business to the Nigerian government. Same command has seized goods worth millions of naira from smugglers. The command also generated 1.2 billion naira into the Federation account within 2 months. This seizure is coming about 2 weeks after the operatives of the Nigerian Customs Service intercepted over 21 trucks of commodity conveying foodstuff at different points along the northern borders. The custom boss at Seme border says that the intelligence showed that illegal exporters will not be allowed at the border.
Some pharmaceuticals. This is CS mix with codeine. It's supposed to be for a cough syrup for throat and chest cough, but we also know that these items are used by people who they're used illegally by people. This is supposed to be a controlled item dispensed by pharmacists, doctors, but they are being used by people who want to get high. And so, because they know that it is a controlled item, they try to smuggle this through the bush. And we had about 140 packages that were stopped in one of our entry points on the bush parts. And the person was arrested. We have a suspect also in custody. We have ivermectin. This is it is a controlled item too, but it is supposed to be used by veterinarians, and sometimes you have people using controlled items for purposes other than that which they were originally intended for. This item is actually expired, and whichever way, it's not supposed to find its way into the public domain. Any item that is ordinarily controlled by an institution, an agency of government, that people deliberately trying to evade control, you know that they don't mean well for the society, they don't mean well for Nigerians. So we're also alive to this, and we are making sure that nothing of this nature gets out.
He also displayed some suspected cannabis with Ghana signs at the border.
In the area of exports, the command has processed 184 export declarations for 43 different items, with a total net weight of 65,185.96 metric tons. The FOB value of these items was 13.057 billion naira. The total amount collected for NES was 65.337 million naira and 24.407 million naira as export surcharge for previously imported goods. It is important first to highlight the numerous challenges encountered by officers in the course of enforcing government policies, primary among which is the difficult terrain.
While investigation continues, according to him, 265 parcels of cannabis and codeine was arrested with a total paid value of 265.9 million naira.
Today provides us an opportunity to further make good the promise made to our officers and men at Ibadan on that day. Let me just therefore start by reiterating the fact that what we are doing here, this kind of projects like the one in Ibadan and other places, is not an attempt for us to recreate a barrack environment as it has been made to believe by our officers and men. This is not going to be customs barracks. It is actually a deliberate action plan being executed by the current leadership of Nigeria Customs Service to ensure that our personnel are provided with the desired opportunity to acquire their own individual homes in a convenient and pocket-friendly manner while they are still in service. The initiative was deemed expedient as some of our personnel have retired from service without a befitting home to commence the new phase of their life after retirement. It is therefore hoped that this initiative will go a long way, putting to an end the mystery that have been experienced by some of our officers in the past. In addition to the number that we are handling over today, which consists of 43 housing units, consisting of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom semi-detached, 2 bedroom fully detached, and 3 bedroom semi-detached, 3 bedroom fully detached, and 4 bedroom fully detached completed houses handed over with their keys to their beneficiaries in Ibadan, while construction of more units is ongoing. At today's event, we have another 164 housing units, and this comprises of 144 2-bedroom bungalow semi-detached with 2 bedrooms each, 20 units bedroom semi-detached bungalows, and 23 bedroom duplexes that are just about to be delivered to our service personnel that have already keyed into the program and have indicated their choice of location to be Kaduna. As we have stated, officers will have the freedom to choose whichever location that they want their houses to be located. The exercise is a demonstration of our resolve to cater to the welfare of officers, whether they are serving or retired. It is notable that this initiative is no doubt in agreement and supportive of the efforts of the President, Commander-in-Chief of Nigerian Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at making affordable housing available to Nigerians.
Just before I round up this week edition of the program, Custom Support, we brought you a report where goods worth billions of naira was intercepted by some various commands in the country. For me, Igiseme Etinye, thanks for watching.